At this point, may we request our guest of honor, national artist Benedicto BenCab Reyes Cabrera, to please stand in the center of the stage. As we award the university citation. In behalf of the entire UC community, we present this honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities to Mr. Benedicto BenCab Reyes Cabrera for a lifetime of service to our nation and honoring our commencement today. Republic of the Philippines, University of the Cordilleras, Baguio City. The art of Benedicto Reyes Cabrera, more famously known as BenCab, is a social commentary, a reflection of Filipino life and consciousness, and a platform to promote and preserve indigenous culture. A pioneer in the 1970s for creating art that addressed the country's social and political issues, his subject is every Filipino whose life is vividly chronicled in his creative presentation of human figures, the Filipino. This was influenced by his love of country and understanding the realities of life in the Philippines after residing in London for 13 years. Returning to the Philippines in 1985, BenCab settled in Baguio City, noting the beauty and uniqueness of our Cordillera region and the uniqueness of Cordilleran art, particularly his Bulul Rice God collection showcased at that famous BenCab Museum that he established in Baguio, as well as in the Tamawan village, which he helped envision and set up to serve as a cultural, preserve, and living museum that celebrates the region's living traditions in the form of performing and fine arts. From being among the founding members of the Baguio Arts Guild, to promoting the local arts by founding the BenCab Art Foundation, to promoting environmental protection and conservation, he has proven that artists, with their talent and influence, can go beyond personal creative pursuits to affect change in humankind and the world we live in. The University of the Cordilleras is privileged to honor BenCab with a postgraduate degree in humanities for his collection of arts, which has contributed greatly to the appreciation of Filipino historical and cultural heritage. In his over 50 years as an artist, he not only created life from art, but improved the lives of our fellow men through his art. By virtue of the authority vested in the University of the Cordilleras by the Republic of the Philippines, the Board of Trustees of the entire university community hereby confer the degree of Doctor of Humanities honoris causa on Benedicto BenCab Reyes Cabrera, Philippine National Artist for the Visual Arts. Whereupon the diploma investments of distinction of the University of the Cordilleras are herewith presented to the honoree with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining. In testimony whereof, we have affixed hereon the official seal of the university and our respective signatures, issued on the 72nd commencement exercises on the 24th day of August in the year of our Lord 2018.
Chairman Jesus Benjamin Salvosa, President Ray Dean Salvosa, members of the board, the executive and academic councils, dear graduates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everyone, and congratulations to the members of the graduating class and their families. Commencement is always a happy occasion, a time to look back to years of dedicated efforts and look forward to the possibilities of tomorrow. I'm pleased to be in the company of the candidates for postgraduate degrees, future lawyers, engineers, and architects, IT, the computer science experts, and tourism management specialists. I'm humbled by this great honor that the University of the Cordilleras have given me, a painter and artist who decided to plant his roots in this city of pines more than 3 decades ago. I was born in Malabon, the youngest of 9 children. We moved to Santa Cruz and later to Bangbang, where I was fascinated by the scavenger Sabel, who became an iconic subject of my artworks. I had my early education in public schools, then went to the State University in Diliman in pursuit of a degree in fine arts. I was eager to work, so I quit school before graduation and landed a job doing layouts and illustrations for magazines for 5 years, until I decided to become a full-time painter. I consider myself lucky. The Beatles happened to be visiting Manila in 1966, and Paul McCartney dropped by my brother's gallery, buying one of my paintings for 70 pesos. I was pleasantly surprised to find out that it was still part of his collection in London years later. In the late 60s, I left the country to settle down in London and raise a family. I discovered many things about the Philippines while making the rounds of the flea markets and antiquarian bookshops. I found Filipiniana materials in travel books, vintage photographs, postcards, and maps, which became a source of reference for my Larawan series. After years of living abroad and exhibiting in Europe and the US, I came back home in 1985 in time to participate in the protest movement against the dictatorship and the People Power Revolution the following year. I decided to adopt Baguio as my new home. It is where I later built my museum and grew my forest. Together with some artists, we founded the Baguio Arts Guild and started an annual art festival, which eventually drew international artists to this mountain city. In spite of meager funds, we managed to continue this effort for a few years. Years later, we established Tamawan Village, a haven for artists. In 2006, I was conferred the Order of National Artists for Visual Arts, part of a tradition that started decades ago with Fernando Amorsolo and Botong Francisco and other great artists, the giants of my youth whom I admire and sought to emulate. After developing my farm in Asin, we inaugurated the BenCab Museum in 2009 to house my collection of Philippine contemporary art and a growing hoard of Cordillera tribal art. As my dream of having my own forest had been fulfilled, my idea for the museum was to integrate art and nature. I hope that succeeding generations will learn from our land and people from this legacy. I was first introduced to the rich culture of the Cordillera in the 60s. One of my earliest acquisitions is a king post from the estate of the late Otley Bayer, one of the earliest exponents of Cordillera culture. I brought it back with me when I came home from London in '85, and it is now an important part of the blue installation in the BenCab Museum. When I learned that the Museo Cordillera was being established, I willingly donated some of my Cordillera pieces and a rare large agabit to their collection. The culture of the Cordillera is for me truly original, indigenous and untouched by hundreds of years of our colonial experience. As an artist, my interest is in the aesthetics of various pieces and efforts of those who carved them, not their ancient pedigree or provenance. As residents of these mountains and valleys, it is important that we acknowledge and respect this shared heritage. Making sure that our environment is protected is equally important. For this reason, the BenCab Art Foundation supports projects that help preserve the environment and the community. In our small way, we also contribute to the welfare of young students in public schools in our immediate neighborhood. Most of the pupils are children of Ifugao carvers in the neighboring carving village. We hope to make a difference in their lives and help them create a brighter future for the community. I spend time in the farm and garden, communicating and interacting with farmhands, museum staff, and visitors. I continue to paint and work in my studio, where I can contemplate and think of new ideas. I remain an artist at heart, happy to look around and to capture the reality that I see. I work to give honor and respect to those that taught and formed me. And I work with you in our shared duty of building this nation, contributing to its greater prosperity and happiness. I thank the University of the Cordilleras again for this distinct honor. I am an undergraduate and college dropout who happens to now have 2 honorary doctorates. For the undergraduates, do not get any ideas. Tsamba lang to. To the new graduates, as you start your life in your chosen profession, allow this old man to bid you well. Go and do your part. Thank you.
Since his conferment as National Artist in 2006, Benedicto Cabrera, or BenCab, has become an icon in the Philippines. A pioneer in the 70s for addressing social and political issues, as well as his portrayal of Filipino identity, he is acclaimed for his craftsmanship in expressing universal human sympathies and everyday narrative drama. BenCab spent 13 years in London, where the physical distance from his country caused him to become even more keenly aware of his root culture and the realities of life in the Philippines, where he returned to settle in 1985. His works have been the subject of 4 books: Ben Cabrera, Etchings, 1970 to 1980, Rock Session, BenCab Nude Drawings, and BenCab, the definitive book on his life's work. He established the BenCab Museum in 2009 in his mountain home in Baguio City to showcase his personal collection of tribal art from the Cordillera Highlands as well as contemporary Philippine art. The year 2015 marked BenCab's golden year as a professional artist. The celebration of BenCab, 50 Creative Years, was highlighted by retrospective exhibits in 8 museums in an original musical theater production based on Saber, the iconic subject of many of his artworks. Later in the same year, the House of Representatives of the Philippines honored BenCab for his contributions and accomplishments in the realm of visual arts that have helped enrich Philippine culture and brought honor and pride to the Filipino people.